What's that?
Takeaways after watching the film? How did you feel about things?
Yeah, a lot to learn from. It was a really good meeting yesterday as a team, units, individual. I'm really enthused about our guys wanting to get better off of that tape. You know, the first time, different schemes, different players they're going against, and just trying to improve our game. Kind of like I said, you know, the night after the game or the after the game there. Most important thing from the tape is you learn from it. And I was very enthused about how our guys handled the last 48 hours from when we were done playing till as we sit here today.
Are you the kind of coach, when you look at tape after a game, do you find yourself more optimist? Like, did you think it was going to be worse than you see, or do you see more things you need to work on?
Yeah, the old adage is never as good or bad as you think. You know. Yeah, I mean, we did some good things, but we did some bad things too that we got to get cleaned up if we think we're going to win and compete. So I was the fire in my gut was a little more the next day, getting back, hey, this is what we have to work on. Here's tangible evidence, things that we have to do that we need to do to give ourselves a chance to win. So, and it's cool, you know, explaining that to the players because it's right there in front of them on the tape. So, and they see it as very black and white.
What did you like about your defense Friday night?
Yeah, I thought they ran well. Their effort was good. Can always be better. I thought our hitting was on display a little bit. I thought we affected the quarterback a number of times. For the most part, we're cleaning the matches. Some things we got to get cleaned up. Technique was pretty good. Some things we got to get cleaned up though, because there's, as in a game, if the one time that you're off with technique and the ball finds you, it's going to cost you. So those guys got to play really clean out there, but they're doing what we're asking them to do. They're trying to do consistently what they're coached to do, and if they can keep getting better at that, you know, we should, you know, improve as a defense.
How'd you come out health-wise?
We were good. So like what I said, I think, you know, I think everybody's good to go coming back here with this week. And we got some guys that have been a little bit nicked and have missed some time that are going to be, you know, you'll see out there this week that are getting back, you know, fully into the mix. And it's good. I mean, Shea and the performance staff, I feel like the entire operation, you know, one of the goals of training camp is to keep us healthy. I think that we've done a pretty good job with that. We've had good availability with all 90 guys. So can always be better. You know, you can always try to improve that. That falls on me. But I like where we're at as a club.
An update on Zach Ertz?
Say it again.
Update on Zach Ertz?
Yeah, I think coming off PUP this week, and we'll get him out there going. He's excited. He's excited. He, you know, he had to go check in with a surgeon and did awesome on all the testing that goes on with that. He had to go out of state for that. And he came back. He immediately texted me when he was going back to the airport, and he's fired up. He wants to play football.
When was that?
Last week.
How about coming back here and just switching things up? Is it trying to make sure things don't get monotonous, or you want to get about the heat?
No, every training camp's a little bit different, but yeah, it's a good question. I wanted two things for myself. I wanted to dry run our schedule. The schedule that we're using right now, the practice plan isn't the same, but the schedule is the same as far as week 1 Washington. And I wanted to get them in the heat a little bit. The first time, you know, that we're truly in the heat, I didn't want it to be versus practicing versus Minnesota. And we're going to have to practice out there for the fall. So I wanted them to get acclimated a little bit and kind of dry run our schedule. And we had to tweak some things yesterday already. But it's good. That's why we're doing it.
In terms of Zach?
Zach now has like 4 weeks to get ready for
Yeah, I think, I mean, anytime when you're coming off of an injury, the reps are gold, you know what I mean? And he's played a lot of football, so he's seen a lot of things and he's played a lot of football. But like I said way back when, like he knows what he needs to get himself ready to play, and he needs time to do that to feel mentally and physically ready to play. So he's ready to go.
You had your coordinators both on the field. How did you like having them kind of so close to?
Yeah, it's really I give those guys the option, you know, and you know, I think you can ask Drew what he's going to do this week, but you know, it's okay for those guys to try different things out. You know, everyone sees it a little bit differently. Everyone's a little more comfortable one place or the other. But I liked how it operated. But if they one of them wants to go up or both of them want to go up, that's cool too.
We'll look at, Ertz' injury, know that Kyler's happened a month later and kind of do the math on a timeline in their own head. Would you say that they're on similar?
No, every athlete's different. You know what I mean? So every injury, even if it's the same, is different. Everyone's body's different. God didn't create us all equal. So Kyler's doing a good job. He's on his plan. He's having some good days, and he'll get out there when he's ready to go too.
In terms of situational football, David mentioned afterwards about the Denver touchdown late, that was pretty much let him score so you can get the ball back. Was that a decision by you, Nick, or collaboration?
Yeah, I mean, every game and every situation is different with time and timeouts and what's going on in the game, but it's something that we decided, this is the best way to give ourselves a chance to win, and that's what we did.
Given the fact that you can't script what happens in a game to give you situational stuff, is there a part of you that was happy to be faced with something like that right out of the box so you could work on something?
No, I wouldn't say that, because there's a lot of situations that came up in that game that, my son wouldn't know, you know what I mean, things that are going on, and he knows a lot about ball, but I think there's just different things that come up in the game that all you want is when you make the decision to try to execute the decision, the players know why you're doing those things. And I was pleased with, from the kickoff return to the last 2-point conversion, I felt like the situations that came up in the game, we handled well, and they tried to get done what we wanted them to get done.
Russell quite a bit. Is that encouraging to you, or do you take that with a grain of salt?
No, I don't take it with a grain of salt. Anytime you go out there to play good defense, one of our principles, you better affect the quarterback, and there's all kinds of ways to do that. But obviously, collapsing the pocket and ball disruption and hitting them and making them comfortable pre and post snap, you want to do that to anybody, and the great ones are the great ones for a reason. It's hard to do, you know what I mean? And, so, but you saw, he made some plays too now, you know what I mean? So we got to clean those things up. But I liked that they did what we're trying to coach them to do to help the team win, and sometimes it didn't get done, but they're trying. So that's good.
Was it any different watching film through the perspective of a coordinator versus a head coach?
No, I've been watching this film kind of the same way since I was a quality control. I look at it 1 or 2 times with a certain lens, and I will look at it a couple more times with a different lens. The only difference was it took me a little longer because 3 phases. But truthfully, different places I've been, I'd always just turn on the offense too.
Your baby, Keitrell Clark, had a pretty good performance. What were your thoughts?
That's my baby. He played good. He was in there lifting today. I thought that he competed. You know what I mean? I thought that was in the right spots, played with the right technique most of the time. That's a tough position out there. That's why those guys get paid a lot of money. It's a hard position. And you guys have heard me say the 3 technique gets cut out and the run goes for 10 yards. No one knows when the DB is not perfect or he's on ESPN. So you got to be perfect out there. It's kind of like offensive tackle to me. But I thought he did well, and he's got to keep coming on and improving his game, which he's shown that he's excited about improving his game.
After looking at the film, did any player really stand out to you?
No, I mean, I would say just, how I look at it is as an operation, as 3 units. Are we doing what we're supposed to do to give ourselves a chance to win? So, and that game could come down to, just like most games, come down to a few plays here or there. Who makes a play, who doesn't, who operates a little bit better than the other team. Can go either way most of the time. But I thought they all did a pretty good job what we asked them that game.
Could you see in David Blau somebody who's been through the camp wars and the preseason battles and stuff in the past, and what's he bringing to that quarterback room?
Yeah, poise, command. You saw he made some plays with his feet. He got us out of trouble a couple times, and he made some plays at the end of the game. That's what I expect those guys to do. The operation needs to be clean from Drew to those guys to the huddle to the pre-snap mechanics to post-snap. Where's the ball going? Is the timing right? Is your footwork right? Are you giving guys a chance to catch and run? Are you production? And he did a good job for us.
What
you think about Hamilton's tape and just how has he been off the field as well?
He's been fantastic off the field. He's one of our ultimate pros. He, he made the big play there. I think he'd want some plays back, but just like all of us. But, he did well for us. He's a guy, too, that, is extremely intelligent, so he can play different spots. And, when you start looking at who's going to get a jersey on game day, how do you add value to the organization, to the team? So he's a guy that can play multiple spots because he can handle it mentally, go out there and execute and get his job done. So I expected him to play well, and he did.
How bland was the play calling on both sides?
Say it again?
How bland was the play calling on both sides?
I would ask those two guys. I had a kind of a vision of what I wanted to get done. There's different ways you can go about that, how you kind of set up the game plan, but we played football. It wasn't as bland as I'm used to with saying that, we're a first-time staff, and I got this from Nick Sirianni. There is a little bit of indecision of other teams. What are you going to do? What are you going to call? Those things. So we didn't show everything, but we played football.
What has impressed you throughout the offseason and now in camp with Elijah Wilkinson and Yelda? Did you know much about them when they were signed, and how now?
Well, I knew about the character of both guys because that's most important to me. And then when you watch the tape, you kind of have a vision for how they would fit into your team. And I think both of those guys they're extremely intelligent. They can move people in the run game, and they do a good job in pass pro. And I think they're playing well next to each other right now, things that they both can work on like everybody. But I like that they're high character guys, and that's what I want with this team.
You guys decided the approach as far as snaps? Is it the main dress rehearsal week 2 in the preseason?
Yeah, everyone's different. That's a good question, Bo. Everyone goes about it different ways. We were just talking about some other coach I talked on the phone. Like he's switched it every year. He's been the head coach. Sometimes 1, sometimes 2, sometimes 3. So I think that's why I say it's not coach speak. It is individualized with your team and the players that you have, where you're at in camp, where you're at with their health. All that stuff goes into play by how much those guys play. So we'll do the same thing this week. Everyone will have their individualized plan, and then knowing that we're getting closer to week 1. So I like where those plans are set right now.
That's a part of it, JG. How much do you want the offensive line to be together, though, to get that camaraderie, that chemistry going?
Yeah, as a defensive guy, I probably think it's a little less important than Drew thinks. You know what I mean? But no, that's real. You know what I mean? It's a good question. That's real because there's a lot of stuff mentally going on that those guys are doing with each other. But I do think there's value to playing with certain guys on each side of you. You know that you're not going to go through the year with the same starting 5, so you got to get them acclimated to different guys that could be in with them. And ultimately, do your job, make the right checks, right communication. Everyone needs to know what they're doing, and create movement in the run game and keep the quarterback upright. So, but they got to do that collectively as a whole too. So I understand that, but I like where that competition and where that's at right now.
You had a handful of veterans obviously not play the other day. Is there, and not necessarily anybody specific, but is there a possibility that there could be a veteran or two that does not play in the preseason at all?
Yeah.
Following up on Bo's question, how much do you see that have being adjusted now with just 3 preseason games, or is that balanced by working against another team?
Correct. There's your answer right there. I think that's why I say, like, when you start looking at just by a game-by-game basis, you got to look at it kind of as a whole. So those are really 2 exposures when we go to Minnesota that are treated as a game. And I actually talked to Kevin this morning, and I really like the plan when we go up there. We're going to get a lot of good work versus a different scheme on offense, defense, and special teams, which I think is very valuable. Go against some different guys, but that's a good 2, 3, 4 when we play them too. But those 2 days of practice are huge for us.
How much back and forth do you go in just planning that with him?
A lot, because things change every day. You know what I mean, Tyler? So it's like, obviously, I got a pretty good relationship with Kevin, but it helps when you have that because there is some back and forth. Like hey, this was the first plan come the spring at the owners' meetings when we first talked about it. Hey, here's the plan when we got out of OTAs. Hey, here's the plan before training camp started. Hey, here's the plan now. where are you at, where are we at, you know, those things. We adapt and change, and it'll change before we get up there probably 2 or 3 times more, honestly. But hopefully we get out of it what we want to get out of it, and them as well, because that's the, you know, that's what you're looking for. It's like an even trade. We got something, you got something, you know, so.
What is it about when they practice against another team that the juices get flowing more? Is it you don't want to be the first guy to get beat for your team, or what is it about?
Just I mean, honestly, going against different schemes and different people, you know what I mean? And their nervous system interprets that as a game, you know, even though it's practice. So you got to, with that being said, you got to be smart about that too. You know what I mean? 2 days in a row. But I've done that on most teams I've been on, and they've been really helpful for the evaluation and the learning and the development of our players. So I like to do that. Truthfully, I'd like to do that 2 out of 3. So we'll see if we can get that done. I couldn't get it done when I got hired. It was kind of everyone kind of had already, you know, had things in the works. You know what I mean? But in Philly, both years we were in Philly 2 out of 3. You know, and it's just good. It's I feel like it's valuable for your players with a little less risk of injury too, because remember, you got to keep them healthy. You know, so those are good. Those are valuable.
What's it gonna be like going back up there without Zim around?
I don't know. I owe him a phone call. Yeah, he was there for how many years? 8 years, I think, or whatever. You know, had a good run, man. A good football coach, one of the best I know. But you know, I was never in that new facility, so I never got to see the new facility. So I'm excited, you know, to see that. And I know they got great facilities, and we got a good plan right now, I think. But Kevin O'Connell, you saw, they went to the playoffs in his first year. The guy can coach football, and we better be buttoned up.
Now that you're a month or so into camp, whatever it is, where do you see Zim's fingerprints on this staff? Like, do you see kind of guys operating? Do you feel like yourself operating, maybe saying stuff like that?
Ask them, all over it. All over it, truthfully.
Think you'll be inside tomorrow at all in the?
Yeah. Yeah, we'll be inside, outside. A little bit of both, a little blend of both. That was an adjustment for me, you know what I mean? Because like I said, the heat's real. You know, it's the first time I ever had to deal with true weather in training camp. But I'm excited about it. You know, that indoor, we were in there today, brand new turf, brand new lighting, looks awesome in there. So we got coolers out there where, you know, teams don't have to deal with that. It's one of the things we have to deal with. But then we don't have to deal with later in the season. Teams that I've been on, you had to deal with the cold. You know what I mean? So it's that's, you know, we can't control the weather, but we'll develop a good plan for that.
Does it present some issues with 90 guys on the roster right now?
No, we're good to go.
Fashion question for you. Has Dick always been a full hoodie guy on the sidelines during games?
I don't know. Ask him. He was always in the box for me, so I don't know if he was wearing his hood in the box, I probably would have fired him. So, you know, I got a couple texts about that. You know, hey, look good, feel good, play good, just like the players. All right, thanks, guys.